Dirty Birdie. Mud. David Roberts, written by Alan MacDonald. Mud. Chapter 1. Bertie. Hands out of your pockets, thundered Miss Boot. I'm cold, miss, moaned Bertie. Then run around. Bertie made a feeble show of stamping his feet. He hated football practice. Why did Miss Boot have to drag them outside in the freezing cold? Why couldn't they practice indoors? Bertie was brilliant at watching football. He was terrific at talking about it. He just wasn't any good at playing it. During a game he never seemed to be in the right place. Most of the time he watched the ball zooming back and forward over his head. And when it did come his way, everyone yelled advice, pass. Move it. Cross it. Bertie dithered, and by the time he made up his mind, the ball was at the other end of the pitch. Miss Boot started the lesson with some warm-up exercises. She was wearing her bright orange tracksuit, the one which made her look like a giant satsuma. The class dribbled in and out of cones. They passed back and forth. They practiced heading the ball without squealing. After 10 minutes, Miss Boot called them together. Before we start a game, I have some good news. From this term the Pudsley Junior team has a new coach. Me. Hooray! Cheered Noel Nick. A lump of mud hit him on the ear. Bertie looked up at the sky and whistled. Now, we have an important match on Friday and I am looking for new players, Miss Boot went on. Who would like to play for the school team? A dozen hands shot up. Bertie kept his hands by his sides. He shivered. He tried pulling his shirt down over his knees to keep warm. Excellent, said Miss Boot. And hands up if you want to play in goal? No hands went up. Bertie felt someone pinch his arm. "Y-O-W," he cried. Noel Nick looked up at the sky. "Bertie," said Miss Boot. "Are you volunteering?" "Me?" said Bertie. "Yes, have you played in goal before?" No. I can't. I don't." "He's just being modest, miss," said Nick, thumping Bertie on the back. "Ask anyone, he's brilliant." Said Miss Boot. Brilliant was not a word she connected with Bertie. Surely there had to be someone else. "What about you, Nicholas?" she said. "I can't, Mississippi." "I've got weak ankles," simpered Nick. "Really?" said Miss Boot. "Eugene, how about you?" "Sorry, my mum doesn't like me playing football." "Trevor?" "Haven't got any boots, Mississippi." Bertie looked around in desperation. Surely someone wanted to play in goal? "That settles it then," sighed Miss Boot. "You are in goal on Friday, Bertie. Do not let me down." "But Miss," began Bertie. Miss Boot blew a shrill blast on her whistle and bustled off to start the game. Bertie stared after her. This couldn't be happening. Him playing in goal for the school team? It was a disaster. A nightmare. Bertie had never played in goal in his life, not even in the playground. He didn't know how to save a ball, he couldn't even save his pocket money. That two-faced toad Nick was behind this. He knew very well Bertie was no good at football. He just wanted to see him make a fool of himself. After the practice, Bertie trudged back to school with Darren, Eugene, and Donna. "Never mind," said Donna. "It wasn't that bad." "No," said Darren. "When you kept your eyes open you did much better." Noel Nick caught up with them. His shirt and shorts were spotless. "Hey, Bertie, what was the score again?" "Remind me," he smirked. Bertie ignored him. 6? Or was it 7? I lost count. At least Miss Boot won't want me in the team, said Bertie. That's where you're wrong, grinned Nick. There's no one else. Bertie groaned. Why me? Can't someone else go in goal? No thanks, said Darren. I'm a striker. Anyway, goalies always get the blame when you lose. You think we'll lose? Asked Bertie. Are you kidding? Said Darren. We're playing Cropper Lane. Bertie looked blank. They're top of the league, said Donna. They haven't lost a match. Ha! H.A., gurgled Nick. It'll be a thrashing. I'm definitely coming to watch. I wouldn't miss this for anything. Chapter 2. Bertie plodded home after school. Over supper he broke the news to his parents. The school team? Said Dad. That's terrific. Said Bertie. Except they want me to play in goal. Well, that's good, isn't it? Beamed Mom. You don't look very excited. Of course he's excited, said Dad. Had no idea you played in goal, Bertie. I don't, groaned Bertie. That's the point. I only got picked by mistake. Don't be silly, said Mom. You're probably better than you think. I'm not, wailed Bertie. I'm rubbish. Well, I'm sure it'll be fine, said Mom. As long as you do your best, no one's going to mind. Bertie thought Miss Boot would mind. Miss Boot hated losing at anything, even tiddlywinks. If Bertie played badly, she'd probably use him as a football and boot him round the pitch. Dad had fetched his old trainers from the hall. I used to play football a bit myself, he said. Just over in the park, but I was pretty good. Really? Said Bertie. It was the first he'd heard about it. Why don't we have a kickabout in the garden? I could give you a few tips. 5 minutes later, Bertie stood between 2 flower pot goalposts. He was wearing his woolly gloves and a baseball cap. Dad bounced the ball a few times and placed it on the lawn. Now, he said, make yourself big. Not like that, crouch down. Arms wide, head up, eye on the ball. Now I'm going to come at you, try to put me off. Bertie waved his arms. Miss, he yelled. What are you doing? Asked Dad. Putting you off. Not like that. I mean, come out. I thought I was in goal, said Bertie. Dad sighed. Listen. I'll take a shot, you just try and stop it, okay? Dad took 3 steps back. He ran up and thumped the ball with all his might. Bertie watched it sail miles over his head into next door's garden. Crash! Tinkle! Whoops, said Dad. Maybe we'll finish this another time. The next few days passed in a daze. Bertie couldn't get the football match out of his mind. Even in his sleep he had nightmares about it. He dreamed he was playing against a team of Miss Boots. Miss Boot dribbled. She passed to Miss Boot. Miss Boot shot. Bertie dived. He woke up on his bedroom floor, cold with sweat. Chapter 3. The day of the big match arrived. Bertie stared at the drops of rain running down the minibus window. He was doomed. Cheer up, said Darren. What's the worst that can happen? We lose, said Bertie. And I let in 20 goals. You won't, said Darren. You're not that bad. No, said Bertie. No, said Darren. You're just not very good. Thanks, said Bertie. Donna turned round from the seat in front. You never know, you might play well, she said. We might even win. Against Cropper Lane? Said Darren. Hey, Bertie, called a loud voice behind them. Catch! Bertie turned round. A toffee hit him on the nose. Ha! H.A., jeered Noel Nick. Call yourself a goalie? You can't catch for toffee. The rain fell in buckets as the bus turned into the school drive and came to a halt. The Pudsley Junior team trooped off. They stared at the field. It sloped like the deck of a sinking ship. There were a few tufts of grass, the rest was a sea of mud. A seagull swam in one of the puddles. Bertie felt a wave of relief. Surely if the pitch was waterlogged, the game would have to be called off. He wouldn't have to play. He was saved. Right, hurry up and get changed, barked Miss Boot, putting up her umbrella. But miss, what about the pitch? Said Bertie. What about it? It's a bog. We can't play on that. Nonsense. A few little puddles never hurt anyone. In my day we played hockey when the snow was up to our knees. Just then the Cropper Lane team ran out in their red shirts. They warmed up, taking it in turns to blast the ball into one of the goals. Noel Nick sidled over. Pretty big, aren't they?